stoic Russian warrior who destroys opponents in seconds, a combat sambo specialist with devastating knockout power, a heavyweight who dominated regional circuits before conquering the UFC. Sound familiar? It should, because Sergei Pavlovich is being called the spiritual son of Fedor Emelianenko. With a 23 record and 15 knockouts, including the longest first-round knockout streak in UFC history, this 33-year-old Russian destroyer is bringing back memories of the last emperor's legendary reign. The comparisons are undeniable, the knockouts are brutal, and the MMA world is asking, is Sergei Pavlovich the heir to Fedor's throne? The comparisons started the moment Sergei Pavlovich began his UFC knockout streak. That same quiet intensity, that same Russian sambo background, that same devastating ability to end fights in seconds with surgical precision. It's like watching a younger Fedor Emelianenko all over again. Fedor Emelianenko is widely considered the greatest heavyweight mixed martial artist of all time. For over a decade, he dominated Pride Fighting Championships.
With the collapse of the Japanese organization in 2007,
with a blend of sambo, striking, and unshakable composure, he remained undefeated for nearly 10 years, defeating legends like Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, Mirko Cro Cop, and Mark Coleman. His ability to stay calm under pressure and his resilience in the face of adversity made him nearly untouchable. Now look at Sergei Pavlovich, born in 1992 in Orlovsky, Rostov Oblast, Russia, the same region that has produced countless Russian fighting legends. Like Fedor, he started with Greco-Roman wrestling at age 5 under coach Alexander Fedorovich Aloyan. Like Fedor, he served in the Russian military, where he honed his combat skills. And like Fedor, he transitioned to combat sambo, where he won most of his competitions and was even invited to train for the Russian Olympic team, though he declined due to sambo tournament commitments. Both fighters embody that classic Russian fighting spirit, stoic, technical, explosive, and utterly devastating. Both have that expressionless demeanor that unnerves opponents. Both finish fights when they get openings. The parallels are almost eerie.
Here tonight, this fight clock is brought to you by eBay Motors, Volkov in white, Pavlovich in black.
Sergei Pavlovich's journey to the UFC was built on absolute dominance. He made his professional MMA debut in December 2014 at Fight Nights Global, defeating Alexander Derevyanko via first-round TKO in just under 4 minutes. It was a preview of what was to come. Brutal, efficient, and utterly dominant. Over the next 3 years in Fight Nights Global, Pavlovich compiled an absolutely frightening 12-0 record. But here's what makes it scary. 10 of those 12 victories came by knockout or TKO. This wasn't just winning, this was systematic destruction. He finished Sergei Bwinichev in just 20 seconds. He knocked out Vladimir Dyniko in 24 seconds. Opponents were falling like dominoes before they could even implement game plans. On June 2nd, 2017, Pavlovich captured the Fight Nights Global Heavyweight title by defeating Mikhail Mokhnatkin via unanimous decision, showing he could win without the knockout when necessary. He defended that title later that year against Kirill Sidelnikov. By the time the UFC came calling, Pavlovich had established himself as the most feared heavyweight outside of the major promotions. His reputation preceded him. If you fought Sergei Pavlovich, you were probably getting knocked out in the first round. It wasn't a question of if, but when. Pavlovich made his UFC debut on November 24, 2018, against Dutch kickboxing legend Alistair Overeem, one of the toughest possible first tests. Overeem was a former Strikeforce champion, K1 Grand Prix winner, and one of the most experienced heavyweights in the world. The fight didn't go as planned. Overeem caught Pavlovich in the first round, scoring a TKO victory.
But he's also going to be working a lot on his wrestling because one of his main...
It was Pavlovich's first professional loss, a harsh UFC welcome. Many fighters would have crumbled. Pavlovich used it as fuel, just like Fedor, who learned from his early setback and came back stronger. Pavlovich analysed his mistakes and prepared to show his true capabilities. After his debut loss, Pavlovich returned on April 20th, 2019, knocking out Marcelo Golm and earning a Performance of the Night bonus. On October 26th, 2019, he knocked out Maurice Green in the first round. 2 wins, 2 first-round knockouts. Then came frustrating setbacks, injuries, visa issues, and travel problems forced multiple fight cancellations against Cyril Gane, Tom Aspinall, and Tanner Boser. When Pavlovich finally returned on March 19, 2022, he reminded everyone why they feared him. He TKO'd Shamil Abdurakhimov in the first round. earning another Performance of the Night award. What happened next is UFC heavyweight history. On July 30th, 2022, Pavlovich faced Derek Lewis, one of the most powerful punchers in UFC history. The fight lasted under a minute. Though some controversy arose about the stoppage, the message was clear. Pavlovich was a genuine threat. On December 3rd, 2022, he faced Tai Tuivasa. The fight lasted 54 seconds. Pavlovich landed a right hand and ground strikes, earning another Performance of the Night award. Then came the statement win.
Sergei Pavlovich.
On April 22nd, 2023, Pavlovich faced Curtis Blades, the number 4 ranked heavyweight. Pavlovich knocked him out in the first round at 3:08, earning his 4th Performance of the Night bonus. 6 consecutive UFC victories, all by first round knockout. He tied Don Frye for the second longest knockout win streak in UFC history, behind only Chuck Liddell. He also set the record for the longest first round knockout win streak in UFC heavyweight history. The similarities go beyond backgrounds. Their fighting styles share DNA that's immediately recognizable. Fedor was known for lightning quick hands for a heavyweight, throwing his signature Russian hook with devastating effect. Pavlovich fights with the same explosive striking, fast, heavy and precisely timed. He doesn't waste movement. Fedor used his judo and sambo skills to throw opponents, then finish with ground and pound. Pavlovich, with his wrestling and combat sambo background, has that same ability. While primarily known for knockout power, his grappling makes him dangerous everywhere. Fedor was famous for his emotionless stare, a calmness that psychologically defeated opponents. Pavlovich carries that same stoic intensity, no emotion walking to the cage, blank expression across from opponents. That psychological warfare matters. Both excel at staying composed under pressure. Fedor survived dangerous positions and immediately recovered. Pavlovich showed similar resilience bouncing back from the Overeem loss. The combat sambo connection cannot be overstated. This Soviet martial art blending judo, wrestling and striking is the base for Russia's greatest fighters: Fedor, Khabib, Islam, Makhachev, and countless others. That sambo pedigree gives Russian fighters a unique advantage, comfortable everywhere, able to scramble from bad positions, with submission skills complementing their striking. After his 6-fight knockout rampage, Pavlovich earned his shot at UFC Gold. When John Jones pulled out of UFC 295 due to injury, the UFC booked Pavlovich against Tom Aspinall for the interim UFC Heavyweight Championship on November 11th, 2023 at Madison Square Garden. This was his moment to cement his legacy. The stakes couldn't have been higher. The fight didn't go as hoped. After cautious early exchanges, Pavlovich landed one of his thunderous left hands. Catching Aspinall clean, but Aspinall's chin held, he took it well and stayed composed. Near the 1-minute mark, Aspinall made his move. Faking a body kick, he drew Pavlovich in, then surprised him with a devastating combination. For the first time in his career, Sergei Pavlovich crashed to the canvas from strikes. It was over in 69 seconds. Aspinall became interim champion. It was only Pavlovich's second career loss, but crushing on the biggest stage. The 6-fight streak was over. After the Aspinall loss, Pavlovich needed to prove he was still an elite heavyweight. On June 22nd, 2024 at UFC Fight Night in Saudi Arabia, he faced fellow Russian Alexander Volkov. The fight went the full 3 rounds, rare for Pavlovich, and he lost via unanimous decision. It was back-to-back losses for the first time in his career. Questions started swirling. Was the knockout artist broken? But Pavlovich bounced back. On February 1st, 2025, also in Saudi Arabia, he faced Jairzinho Rozenstruik, a dangerous Dutch kickboxer with massive knockout power. Pavlovich won via unanimous decision over 3 rounds, showing improved patience and game planning. He proved he could win without the early knockout. Most recently, on August 23rd, 2025, at UFC Fight Night 257 in Shanghai, China, Pavlovich faced rising contender Waldo Cortes Acosta. He won via unanimous decision over 3 rounds. With 2 straight victories, Pavlovich is rebuilding momentum and working his way back toward title contention. His current record stands at 20-3 with 15 knockouts. He's currently ranked number 3 in the UFC heavyweight division, still very much in the mix for another title shot. The UFC heavyweight division is currently in an interesting state. John Jones holds the undisputed championship but hasn't fought frequently. Tom Aspinall holds the interim title and has been aggressively calling for unification. Meanwhile, elite contenders like Pavlovich, Cyril Gane, Curtis Blades and others are jockeying jockeying for position in one of the most stacked heavyweight divisions in UFC history. For Pavlovich, the path forward requires continued winning and perhaps recapturing some of that early knockout magic. His recent unanimous decision victories show he's become more well-rounded, no longer relying solely on the early knockout. That evolution is crucial for championship-level competition, where opponents specifically game plan to survive the first round. At 33 years old, Pavlovich is in his prime heavyweight years, with potentially 3 to 5 years of elite competition remaining. The question everyone wants answered: can Sergei Pavlovich recapture that devastating knockout form that made him the most feared heavyweight on the roster? Can he learn from the Aspinall loss and make the necessary adjustments to his striking defense and cage awareness? Can he become UFC heavyweight champion and do what Fedor never did, win UFC gold? The comparisons to Fedor aren't just about fighting style or background, they're about legacy and what it means to be a Russian heavyweight champion. Fedor never fought in the UFC, yet his legend is so powerful that he's still considered by many as the heavyweight GOAT. His reign in Pride from 2003 to 2007 was absolute domination. Sergei Pavlovich has the opportunity to do something Fedor never did: win the UFC heavyweight championship. If Pavlovich can recapture his knockout form and navigate through the elite competition, he could cement himself as one of the greatest Russian heavyweights in UFC history, a worthy successor to Fedor's throne. The parallels matter because they show that the Russian fighting tradition is alive and well. Combat Sambo continues producing elite fighters. That stoic intensity still wins fights. The ability to finish opponents explosively is still the most exciting aspect of heavyweight MMA. So is Sergei Pavlovich actually Fedor Emelianenko's son? No, they're not related by blood. Fedor's actual children aren't professional fighters, but in terms of fighting spirit, technique, background, and style, Pavlovich is absolutely the spiritual successor to Fedor's legacy. What makes Pavlovich special is his evolution. Early in his UFC run, he was a one-dimensional knockout artist. After the setbacks, he's shown he can win decisions, can fight strategically, and can adjust his game plan. That growth is what separates good fighters from champions. His 15 knockout victories, including the UFC record for first-round finishes, prove his power is legitimate. His willingness to serve in the military and represent Russian martial arts with humility shows his character. His bounce back from the Aspinall loss demonstrates his mental toughness. Fedor's legacy was built on more than just wins. It was built on how he won, how he carried himself, and how he represented combat sports. Sergei Pavlovich is following that same path. Do you think Sergei Pavlovich will become UFC heavyweight champion? Can he recapture that 6-fight knockout streak form? Will he eventually face John Jones or Tom Aspinall again? Is he the true heir to Fedor's heavyweight throne? One thing is certain: when Sergei Pavlovich walks into the octagon, fans know they're about to witness violence. And that's exactly what made Fedor Emelianenko legendary. The last emperor would be proud. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to subscribe and hit that like button. Drop a comment below. Do you see the Fedor comparisons? Who do you want to see Pavlovich fight next? Let's discuss.